Here's tonight's starting goaltenders delivered by Papa John's Pizza. As you see, both goaltenders having tremendous starts to their season. Jonas Hiller, 8th in wins. Ben Bishop, 3rd in wins. As you see that in the save percentage, Hiller is in the top 10 there as well. John Cooper behind the bench in his 3rd season with the Lightning. And Bob Hartley, his 12th season as a head coach, won a cup with his Colorado Avalanche.
Greg Kimberly is going to handle the opening faceoff. Dan O'Rourke works with him. Darren Gibbs, Ryan Galloway, the linesman. And we're underway as the Flames with the puck. The shot by Sean Monahan from center missed the net. Andre Palat on the one-touch pass. Here comes Tyler Johnson to center. Steps in against Dennis Wideman. Has room to shoot, and it's tipped away by Monahan. Up into the netting and out of play.
Let's take a look at tonight's keys, brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. And obviously, when you take this game, your penalty kill has got to be very, very solid here. They have a good power play, Calgary, and they use their points well. Net presence, that was what preached by John Cooper. You see there, especially in that Western Canada trip, both goals that the Lightning scored against Calgary came on rebounds. So they've got to get to that front of the net tonight.
Jason Garrison backhands it behind the net. It's cut off by Chris Russell. Punched up the boards for a Curtis Glenncross on left wing. Wideman placing it into that corner. Josh Juris barges his way in. The Union College product. Working on this line with Calgary. Quick shot on a save by Bishop. Radko Gudas matching up there with Monahan. Here's a shot fired from the corner. Bishop a stop, and he got a piece of that try by Monahan as well. All three forwards getting a chance at Bishop on that shift. Tampa Bay changing, and so are the Flames.
Calgary worked a lot coming out of the corners on shooting drills in the morning skate today. Really sharp angle shots from below the circles.
Here's a shot on Bishop. He makes the stop on Marcus Granlund. Johnny Goodrow set him up as he got to that puck to make the pass in front.
Here's that play coming in very quickly. It was a deflected pass, and then just getting to it. They're shooting the puck from everywhere. They got guys going to the net. That's what we talked about the Lightning must do to become successful against Calgary. Calgary so far, with 4 shots to none to the Lightning, have done it very well in the first 2 minutes.
Going to do the face-off once again. Steven Stamkos on with Ryan Callahan and Valtteri Filppula. Filppula playing the left side on this unit. Stammer coming in tied for 3rd in the NHL with 8 goals. Flames get it from the draw. Goodrow won the Hobey Baker Award at Boston College last year. Now he's chasing Ryan Callahan. Strawman with a pass to Filppula. Fires a save by Jonas Hiller. His first chance to handle the puck.
Well, let's take a look at our injuries and scratches. Lightning, all 3 guys at the top of their list are injured. Mark Barberio, the healthy scratch. And Calgary has a number of injuries as well. Schmidt and McGrattan, the 2 healthy ones for them.
They're depleted down the middle. 3 centermen on that list and quite a bit of experience. They've changed a couple of lines coming into tonight, but for their last couple of games, they had about 200 games total experience. Sven Baertschi with a shot. It's gloved by Bishop.
You can't leave your player at all. That's the one thing that you noticed that we did, Rick, in Calgary, that they play their lanes very well. And if you leave a guy, you got him at one time, then you leave him, they're going to get a quick open shot. So if you got a guy, you stay with him right way deep into the zone.
Calgary 5 quick shots in the first minute and a half. John Cooper not happy with the way his team played defensively in the last 40 minutes or so of that game against the Caps. Lightning winning that 4-3, but he thought they could tighten up. And, of course, they've had 4 days off before this game tonight. That puck deflects off Jonathan Drouin, and out come the Lightning to center. Cedric Paquette playing in right wing of this line, picks up Drouin. His pass through the middle is intercepted by Russell. Baertschi gets rid of it. Do you expect to see a little rust, Chief, after 4 days off?
Shouldn't be that bad. I think they needed some rest. They played a lot of hockey. I think it's a matter of just getting them back in the game mentally. When you're playing every second day, or you're playing as often as the Lightning did in the first part of the year before this break, they were sharp mentally. This might take them a couple of shifts or not, but they should be rested. They should be full of energy here in the opening period.
Lightning with those 4 days off now start a stretch tonight of 10 games in 17 days, including a couple of road trips. And then they have a lighter schedule the week of Thanksgiving with a stretch of 1 game in 6 days. So it's a well-balanced schedule, and they'll now pick up the pace, starting with this game and then on the road. Here's Brian Boyle shooting a save by Hiller.
Good shot by Boyle, because Hiller's a guy that goes down all the time. And that time he stayed on his feet, surprisingly.
Hiller signing as a free agent, had been with the Anaheim Ducks for 7 years. And out come the Flames in a 3-on-2. Paul Byron. Lance Boma out in front. And the stick lifted there by Garrison defensively, preventing the shot from right in close. Boyle occupies several Flames while the Lightning complete a change behind him. Andre Palat, Tyler Johnson, and Nikita Kucherov getting on the ice. And boy, they've been hot lately.
They really have. They got to make sure they get over, get their lanes, get that puck in there and let it with control. That's when they do their damage.
There's Paul Kennedy, Dave Andrechuk talking extensively about the performance of these guys. And Johnson off that success, coming in tied for the league lead in assists with 13. And Carl takes the puck away from Sean Monahan. The play backed up by Juris. He can't make a play. And Tyler Johnson. The pass ahead to Kucherov. Palat with him. He gets the feed. Johnson open. Fires. Blocked by Russell. It's relayed back to the corner. Johnson trying to send in Palat. Chris Russell. Pretty good puck mover. Steps away from the traffic. Lightning have Andre Schuster back in the lineup. And he's paired with Eric Brewer on the Lightning defense. And the only other change, as we mentioned, Paquette coming in. Alex Killorn is out with an upper body injury. And the thinking is, as John Cooper told the media today, that he should be able to play in the upcoming 3-game road trip. Granlund ahead for Goodrow. Johnny Hockey, as he's known in Calgary, swings it and shoots, and it's gloved by Bishop. He'll hang on.
You got to make that play at the blue line. 2-on-2, you can't back off. You got to make that play early. Watch this play here. You get a guy that's very quick and very highly maneuverable. See how far back off they are. They just switch all around. You get him right down to the side, and he gets that shot away. Less space for those quick guys, the better. Then they can't work their magic. You saw him get a goal when you backed off on him in Calgary to get the first goal of the game there.
Byron wins the draw. Here's Diaz with a drive, and Rafael Diaz missed the net on that shot. They've got an overabundance of right-hand shots on defense. Not many teams can say that. Here's a shot that's chipped wide by Sven Baertschi, who's been active in the early going here. Diaz, a right-hand shot playing the left side with Derek England, another right on their third defense pair. Nemestikov in behind the net to Paquette. Cedric scoreless in 4 games, but he's been very effective. Here's Radko Gudas trying to sneak a shot through, and that's dispensed with by Diaz. Paquette catches up to him. Joined in there by Nemestikov. Works against Diaz. Jonathan Drouin in that corner. He scored his first point in the National Hockey League in that meeting 16 days ago in Calgary. Icing the call here.
I think they're getting a too many men on the call. Ice penalty by Calgary. It could be the first power play. I'm not sure.
The Holy Hog Barbecue Package scores you 2 tickets, 2 barbecue sandwiches, 2 sides, 2 sodas for all Monday and Tuesday games. Packages start as low as $75. Buy now at TampaBayLightning.com/tickets.
I guess it just means that the play goes back into the Calgary zone, but they were counting players out there. Usually that means that you have one too many or made the line change too slowly.
Stamkos just tipped that shot by Strawman wide. Puck left now for Stamkos. Couldn't find an angle to get that puck to Carl, but now he recovers it for Filppula. And the Flames come up with it. It's backhanded away by Diaz. Here comes Filppula. He's turned back by the dogged checking of Juris, who scored a couple of goals in an earlier win on this trip in Montreal. An impressive 6-2, thrashing out the Canadiens.
Yeah, you look at them, 8 wins, 6 have come on the road. And they've won in Washington, in Montreal, where there's very difficult places to win.
Puck deflected in by Glencross. He gets dumped. Now as Boyle takes over with Morrow at the line. He brought the puck to center and back in offside. Just past the 6-minute mark in a scoreless first period. The shots are 5-2 Calgary.
Away in Tampa Bay, Matt Carl, who played at the University of Denver. Johnny Gaudreau, Boston College, now with Calgary, both in the NHL. They both won the Hobey Baker Award in their collegiate days. It's meaningful to note on Military Appreciation Night that Hobey Baker was also a United States aviator, a lieutenant in World War I, who lost his life in France in 1918 and was awarded by that nation the Croix de Guerre for gallantry. A true hero in service to his nation after earning All-American honors in this sport. The greatest hockey player of his generation at Princeton. The Hobey Baker, a goal-scoring forward, an American patriot in the Frozen Four and the Hobey Baker presentation coming back, Rick and Chief, in 2016 here to Emily.
We'll look forward to that out in the years to come, Paul, and thank you very much. Puck loose side of the goal and a save by Bishop on David Jones in tight, and out comes J.T. Brown. Diaz rides him behind the net.
I'm wondering if it's the matter of, well, the Calgary just too strong, go to the net a lot in this early part of the game, or the Lightning or their defense is just keeping them away from getting in front of the net. They haven't had the net presence that Calgary has had so far in the first 6 minutes.
Brody. Yuri Hoodler back on the point. Granlund fires, and it's fended off to the corner by Bishop. Andre Schuster handles it. Here is Matt Carl. Palat takes the pass. Makes his way to center. Swings into that zone and counters Giordano, and it's off the stick of Kucherov. On that try in front, Palat has it back. Trying to lose Brody. Centers off the stick of Hiller. Marcus Granlund, whose older brother Mikhail plays for the Minnesota Wild. Playing that puck out of the zone, Palat. He'll launch one toward the corner. Paquette with a head start off the Lightning bench. Trying to pressure that Calgary defense. They move it quickly with Sven Baertschi, their first-round pick from 2011. He's one guy they're still waiting for to start to make an upward movement in terms of his career. And he's getting a chance with the injuries to come back from the minor leagues.
Hey, Tampa Bay Lightning Hockey and Sun Sports is brought to you by Hat Tricks Tavern. Great place to start off the evening before the game. Even if you haven't got tickets, stay there for the whole game. But make sure you come back if you do have tickets, because they have a great late-night menu. And, of course, we always talk about those wings, but they have great burgers, too.
Well, some of the Sun Sports broadcast crew of the Lightning got together at Hat Tricks earlier this week, Chief. With these days off, you got to spend your time wisely, so why not spend it at Hat Tricks? We did, and we enjoyed some of those great items on the menu.
I'll tell you what, if you're a sport fan, they got unbelievable amount of TVs, and especially if you're a hockey fan, because that's the first and foremost sport that gets put up there.
I'm waiting for them to put the spotlight over your Taylor jersey, number 30, over there in the wall. Radko Gudas for the Lightning. He's wearing a protective device as he suffered facial injuries in that fight with Tom Wilson Saturday against the Capitals, and we'll tell you more about that throughout the evening, but he's finding the perfect balance between sight and being able to breathe, which is also very important. But protecting an injury at the same time. Here comes Brody through center. Tried to center, couldn't against Brewer. Ryan Callahan with it. Long pass is behind Val Filppula, and it reached the side of the net, and we get an icing call.
All week long in the practices that they did have, they really worked on that fast play, the quick transition. The one line would move up the ice at quick space, take a shot, and then they'd have the other guys come back very, very quickly. So they really were getting into that fast transition game that they like to play.
Filppula will take this draw. As he leans in against Granlund, Flames come up with it. From the point, Russell looking for a shooting angle, blocked by Callahan. The second try missed the net. Lightning with Nemestikov out there with Filppula and Callahan. So, a little mixed crew. Hoodler, teammate for a number of years, 6 seasons with Val Filppula in the Detroit organization, the minor league team in Grand Rapids, as well as the Red Wings. And it's Filppula across that line with Schuster. Feeds it back in front, deflected by Hoodler over the net. Tapped in front by Nemestikov, and it just got away from Paquette. Hoodler will just chip it back to the corner. Schuster in there for it. Carl steps to center. Jonathan Drouin cuts to the middle. Feeds it through. And Paquette well covered there by Derek Englund. Here's a shot. Reached Heller as Strawman let it go.
That was another thing, too, they worked on, Rick. Every rush, they want a shot. They got to shoot the puck.
Paquette in front. He scores! Goal number 1 of his NHL career. Cedric Paquette has opened the scoring in this game.
Just sheer determination. He just bowled his way to the front. He just willed himself to control the puck, to take it to the front of the net, and just keep hold of the puck. He had guys all over. Watch how he just takes it out here, reaches around, and beats Hiller to the far side. But what a tremendous show of strength. And he beat Bollig, the winger that was trying to hold on to him or keep him off from getting in front. And the Lightning take the early lead here at 9:55.
Well, for Paquette, it's probably going to feel like just a continuation of his good play from the Syracuse Crunch, where in the last 4 games he's had 7 points and been a +8, including 4 goals. So he's been productive offensively. Seems to be finding his game in that regard. And now, here's Berchi shooting. Saved by Bishop. Rebound. A stop by Bishop there with Seneguchi driving the net. And there's a drive by Giordano, and it's deflected away and over the glass. 9:34 to go in the first period. Cedric Paquette, in his 7th regular season game in the NHL, scores his first goal.
Cedric Paquette's goal just put Tampa Bay ahead 1-0 over Calgary as we bring you back into the first period on Military Appreciation Night, and the Lightning are making it easy for you at home to support the military. Bring your used cell phones here to the McDonald's ticket office throughout the month of November, and for every cell phone you bring in, you'll receive a ticket to December 11th game. It is against the Carolina Hurricanes, so you will be rewarded for giving back and helping military members with some free communication. Can't beat that, guys.
No, you cannot, Kelly. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so important. These guys do so much for us.
Oh, absolutely.
We take it for granted so often.
MacDill Air Force Base, such a huge part of this community in many, many ways. And
yeah, back in the day when Chip Deal was the main guy running the Air Force in MacDill. I think he's still in the area. He's retired from the service.
Here's a shot by Weidman that's deflected to the corner. Strawman, and the Lightning outlet it now to Johnson. Gets it behind Russell. Coming back defensively was Glenn Cross. The Lightning set it up for Carl. Shooting, it's blocked out in front as it hit Weidman. Palat back to Carl. Angles it to Johnson. Strawman right there. He had it tapped away. Palat trailed by Glenn Cross. The shot deflected to the boards. And Monahan gets to it. And Johnson a steal. Kucherov waiting in front. And it was just picked off by Weidman.
What a great defensive play. It really looked like Kucherov was going to get another one because he was all alone.
Well, you talk about him, and Phil Esposito talks about how ready he is to shoot and in the right spot. And that was a millisecond after Johnson stole that puck. He was waiting in front.
Oh, he gets himself out. He anticipates the play so well. Watch him. There he is right there. And then what a play. Well, actually, you know what? It was Russell that eventually got back there. He was the guy that they took the puck away from, and he recovered in time to prevent a goal scoring.
Callahan trying to move that puck up the ice. John Cooper complimenting the Flames this morning, and he said, boy, that earlier matchup in Calgary on October 21st, says we counted, we looked real hard. We could only come up with only 7 good scoring chances against them. They play very, very tight, and they really didn't give the Lightning much. So Lightning are going to have to work for their chances in this one. The puck is played out by Granlund. The shots are 10-4. Favoring Calgary. It came out blasting with, I believe, the first 5 shots of the game.
Yeah, they really play the lanes well. You know, they don't get bunched up in any area. When they get in their zone, they make sure they're covering all sides of the zone and in the middle. Then when they're coming up the ice, they spread it out as well.
Cooper said they're as well-structured as any team they've seen so far this year. Drouin stirring it up. Paquette in there, grabbing the puck, lost his balance. He went sliding into the boards. Out comes Russell. Brandon Bollig tips it in. Bishop handles it. Got it to Nemestikov. He'll launch the backhand feed over the shoulder of Paquette. Russell catches up to it. Bollig couldn't hold it. Taken by Nemestikov. Paquette waiting in front. They feed it back to the point, but well out of the reach of Jason Garrison.
Great patience with the puck, though, with the young Nemestikov. Just missed him with that pass.
Paquette starts it in. Gudas at the point. Kept it in against Byron. Eric England, the former Penguin, moving it to his partner, and Diaz got it out. Lightning at a change. A.T. Brown had to hold up for a second till Paquette got into the bench before he went in after the puck. Gets the puck back. He'll move it to center. Chips it to the corner. Jonas Hiller out there. Byron on the move. Berchi with him. Byron trying to step around Stralman. That doesn't work.
That's the play, what you need. You got to have that play. He does that so well, Stralman. Limits the time and space at that blue line and really disrupts a lot of rushes.
Stralman a +13, +9 in his last 6 games. He has been so instrumental in the Lightning going 6-2 with Victor Hedman on the sidelines. That's including the Vancouver game where he was hurt. But you lose a guy as important to your team and playing as well as Victor Hedman, you hope to keep your head above water. And the Lightning have done more than that with play from guys like Stralman. 1-0 Tampa Bay leading here on the goal by Paquette. 1-0 Lightning in front. Time for our Geico great moment in hockey history. And on this day in 1990, Chicago's rookie goaltender Dominik Hasek played in his first game of his NHL career. And the Blackhawks tied the Whalers in Hartford 1-1. Steve Thomas, we saw on the Lightning bench, assistant coach, scored for Chicago. And the Whalers' goal came from Pat Verbeek, assistant general manager of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Those two guys combined for Chief, I would guess, about 950 goals.
Those guys, they really had a nose for the net. You talk about net presence, you just had to look up, and there they were.
And Verbeek found some room behind Hasek, who didn't give you much, that's for sure, right from that first game. With the puck, it's Tyler Johnson at center. Fires it back to Palat. He steps in. He shoots. A save by Hiller. Puck drop behind him. A little extra move there by Palat seemed to give him a little room to slide that puck by the defenseman, Chief.
That hesitation, and you know, sometimes you have to just move the puck or the angle of your stick maybe an inch, 10 inches, and it changes the whole angle.
Now Johnson and his line mates stirring it up. Cut in. Fire! A save off the mask. As Johnson let it go, it gets spilled by Russell. But, boy, that line has really got things going offensively here.
Well, you know, you keep thinking they're going to pass the puck and they shoot it. And that's what you want. You want those shots. When you're in that close with, get a rebound.
Callahan rifles one on goal, and Hiller makes the save and hangs on.
You know, they're going to go high. They're trying to get the puck up a little bit higher on Hiller because of that fact of him going down a lot. And this will show you the first example of that. Take a look. There's the little hesitation. There it is. Hiller got it with his left blocker. And then this one here, this one comes straight up. You see him down and they hit him in the mask. It might have come off this defenseman's stick too. It might have ski jumped on him. But nonetheless, first move is down.
3-on-2 for the Flames. Pass ahead to Hudler. He'll fire. Scores! He fires that in under the crossbar, top corner. An absolutely perfect shot by Yuri Hudler. And Calgary's tied this game up.
15-22, his fourth of the year. But boy, I'll tell you what, it was in there very quickly. And again, transition game. Watch this. What really helps is that being that left-handed shot coming down your off wing. Look at how it opens up the whole net for you. And he gets it just inside the goal post, off the middle bar, and out. This game's tied.
Hudler playing with Filppula on that 2008 Stanley Cup championship team in Detroit. Both young up-and-coming forwards on that crew. And he scores from Brody and Giordano at 15-22. And Filppula, of course, has been a nice mentor for some of the young forwards for the Lightning. Hudler in the same role with Calgary. And Val just said this morning, I guess we're getting old. Yeah, we're both 30 now. Came in the same draft in 2002. Giordano with a shot. It's blocked by Callahan, but Brody had a head start getting back for it. Had a little interference on his side as well. Loses Callahan, turning the net. And will send it down the ice, and the Lightning will have to play it.
Lightning are getting all three guys caught a little bit. And that's what's given Calgary those odd man chances on the transition.
Schuster. It's shoveled now quickly to Paquette. Cedric, a 20-goal man in Syracuse last year. Great play to Drouin. And they send it back out for Garrison. Gudas with the shot. Knocked down as Nemestikov was cruising by the slot. Drouin protects the puck so Nemestikov can grab it. Out in front to Jonathan, deflected on goal, and it's covered by Hiller with a pileup ensuing at the side of the net. And Paquette stirring it up with Brandon Bollig. Who didn't like getting beat on that 1-on-1 out of the corner for the game-opening goal.
This is the line that's really done a good job of getting to the front of the net. You know, they, along with the Johnson net line, they're the two that's done it the most. There you see Nemestikov trying to come in there, and Russell really got drilled there, and his back was really bent back. I think he's okay. His trainer's going to look at him on the bench, but you can see him being really bent over there in that play from the corner.
Chief, you and I were pumping the tires of that tandem of Brody and Giordano in the Calgary defense on Lightning Live pregame tonight. And a little bit in the open, they both have extended their point streaks now to 5 games. And they're now at 14 points. They could very well have the scoring lead among defensemen in the NHL as they assist on the Hudler goal.
Yeah, I think the Burns was only 1 point up on them coming into the night.
Well, they were tied at 13, all of them. Here's a drive, and it skims off a stick wide by Diaz. Monahan gets to it. Slides it wide of the goal. Bishop will cover it up with pressure from Glenncross. Here's tonight's GMC big matchup.
Well, coming into tonight, these are the winning streaks that both these teams have had. Lightning 3-0 at home, Calgary 3-0 on the road. And how their goals for and against match up. Power play's pretty close to being even. But the defensive end of the game for Calgary is just a tad better than the Lightning, and the Lightning have a little bit better goals for average.
The Lightning second in the league offensively in goals per game at 3.5. Behind the Penguins, who under new coach Mike Johnston off to a great start as they come in to play tonight. 17 points. Lightning at 17 points. Montreal on top in the Eastern Conference with 19 points. Stamkos turned back here by Johnny Gaudreau.
Well positioned to get
Berchi on a steal for Calgary coming late. Giordano missed glove side of Bishop as Devin Setoguchi drove right to the net to try to screen Bishop on that one. Berchi out of that corner. Gets it out in front. Reached Giordano. His shot was blocked though by Filppula. Schuster challenged by Byron. Callahan arrives in that corner as well with under 2 minutes to go in the period. Score one apiece. Shots 12-8 favoring Calgary. Lightning have gotten their feet as far as their offensive stride after the 4-day layoff. Coming up with a lot of shots on Hiller. Some good pressure and the goal by Paquette. As they settle down, Giordano missed the net. Bolma picks it up. Kept wide by Garrison. Weidman set to pull the trigger at the point. Wristing one, and that's deflected over the net by Jones. Kucherov chased to the boards. David Jones. His pass hit Johnson. Bounced to center. Weidman rolling it back to Russell. Weidman ahead for Jones. Now in for Bowling, trying to feed it in front. Deflected behind the net. Inside a minute to go here in the first. Lightning trying to get it up the boards and out. Calgary working hard along the boards, but Kucherov steps away with it. He swings into the zone. Lets the shot go, and it's blocked by Weidman. Hartley really relies on his top two pairs, Russell and Weidman, and the two we've been talking about. Bowling's shot is blocked. Brody and Giordano. Puck is cycled right to Kucherov. 28 seconds to go in the first. Palat handing it to Stroman. Lightning getting fresh legs on here for the final few seconds. Pass to Nemestikov. Has a little room in the line. Gains steam and shoots. A save by Hiller. Nemestikov wins that race for the puck. Hitting it to Drouin with 10 seconds to go. Juris had it poked away by Nemestikov. Stroman creeps in for the point. Giordano angles it off the glass. Stanchion out of play. And time runs out here in this first period. Stay tuned for the Gulf Coast First Intermission Report. Paul Kennedy chatting with Cedric Paquette. And we'll hear from NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, who's in the house. He joined us earlier in the pregame show. And Dave Andrechuk joining Paul as well. Highlights and stats all coming away in the Gulf Coast Honda Dealers First Intermission Report. Lightning will open this period with a Tyler Johnson line. Sean Monahan will work against him. Brody's pass eludes Glenncross. And they say it was deflected, so the Lightning play it. Stroman, we talked about his plus 13. He's already a plus 1. He was on for the Paquette goal, so now he's a plus 14. Monahan getting to the puck. And Stroman compacting the play along those boards. And Kucherov nearly got that puck under control for his move toward the net. Giordano. Pass ahead for Glenncross. Gudas off the bench, got organized in time to defend against him. Lightning take over. The pass ahead to Johnson on the three-man rush. Johnson waiting, feeds it. Palat shoots, and it's gloved away by Hiller. He just batted it away. Palat spins it back to Gudas with the wrist shot, and it's handled by Hiller, and he'll hang on.
What a nice play by Gudas. He took the player out at the blue line. Took him out of the play. That's what we talked about, Rick. It enabled the Lightning to get up on an odd man rush. They haven't had many. Calgary get back very, very quickly, but that shot just rolled off the top of Palat's stick, but they still maintained pressure in the offensive zone. But again, they took the player out physically along the wall, not allow him to get back in there or give him any space.
Nemestikov wins the face-off back to Gudas. Quick release, and it's deflected wide by Paquette as Drouin let it go. And it's in front. They score! Paquette has scored again. And the Lightning are back in front.
Second goal of the night, his second of his career. And all he did was turn around and shoot the puck. Really good puck pursuit by that line. The Nemestikov really getting on that loose puck quickly, and Paquette found the 5-hole before Hiller could get the legs closed. So the Lightning regained the lead here very quickly.
Brewer steps to center for the Lightning, pounded by Goodrow. It's tapped free to Callahan, just knocked out of his reach. As Wideman got in there, he now has the puck. Well-traveled defenseman. Gives it off the glass, and offside was Hudler.
The Lightning go!
Well, I was just going to say, that can't be a two-line pass.
Well, Paquette just continuing the scoring we were telling you about from the American Hockey League and doing it right here at the NHL level. His first 2 NHL goals. Nemestikov and Garrison get the assists.
Really good play by Nemestikov. He got on that puck very, very quickly when it was rolling towards the right wing boards.
Gudas pressured by Byron. Lofts it out through center, and Brody back for it. This top defensive tandem, kind of unlikely when you look at their backgrounds. Giordano undrafted, Brody a 4th-round pick. Well, that's pretty much the makeup of this Flames team. There's not a lot of first-rounders in this group. Overachievers. Giordano playing it off the stick. Gudas has it back, and he fires it off Sven Baertschi and out of play.
Lightning are very similar in a sense, too. You know, when you take a look at the guys that were drafted or low draft picks, and, you know, Palat, Johnson, very, very foremost in that. The kid that's got 2 goals tonight, Paquette, was a 4th-round pick. They still have their great talent in Stamkos and Duran and Hedman. It'd be nice to see Victor get back. Boy, what a difference that'll make from that end, the blue line.
And as we're finding out with Steve Yzerman building this team, that's how you get that depth, and he's been able to create that, he and his staff, almost instantly, Chief, in the last couple of years. When you look at how quickly these draft picks have progressed to the NHL level, is you've got to make the right choices in that 4th round, the 5th round, or as you point out, Palat, a 7th round.
You do, and then also you got to make sure you got the right guys that are grooming them in the minors. They had Cooper for a long time. Now they got a really good coach down there as well. So they have a really good job of really developing these guys to play at this level.
Bob Zettler, the head man at Syracuse. Brendan Morrow throws a hit on Lance Boma, and the puck taken by Jones, steps around Brewer, and it's played away now by Bishop, and we're going to get a penalty. And a hook will go to Eric Brewer on this call. First penalty of the hockey game.
Yeah, penalty number 2, 2 minutes hooking.
2:48. One of the things, when you keep trying to go back with that puck there, you just couldn't get the rolling puck. And Calgary's on you very, very quickly. You've really got to make sure of that puck, because they are a quick bunch of forwards up there. And when they're skating and when they're using their quickness, they're a difficult team to play against. And right now, the power play of theirs goes to work, and it's a good one. It's 12th overall in the NHL.
Brilliant a power play chance for the Flames. They're 3 of 9 during this 3-game winning streak with a man advantage. And here's a key component. TJ Brody hits the line. Devin Setoguchi fires, and a save by Bishop. Andre Palat with it. Guides it to the point, held in by Giordano. They've got Setoguchi positioned near Bishop. Brody looks for the high slot. 2 members of the Lightning converge. Giordano holding it in. Feeding it now to Goodrow. Walks it in. Tried to pick a corner, and Bishop made the glove save.
I'll tell you what, a good play on the part of Strawman, because what he did, he elected to take the guy in front right off the bat. See him right here? He takes the guy out. Now it's all one-on-one with Bishop and the shooter, and that's what a goalie wants. He wants to have not anything to worry about but that guy with the puck. He doesn't want to have to worry about a pass or anything. And Strawman took the pass away. All he had to do was focus on the shot, and he makes the big save.
Lightning have been solid on the kill this year. 8th best at almost 85%, Chief. But perhaps the best part lately is the fact in their last 4 games, they've only been shorthanded 5 times. They're staying out of the box.
Yeah, they're one of the lowest penalized teams in the league, as a matter of fact. 6th lowest. They're under 10 minutes a game average, 9.6 to be exact.
They've had 14 power plays while their opposition has had only 5 in that span. Here comes Russell. And it's taken away by Boyle. Boyle alone on Hiller. He shoots a save. He scores! The first shorthanded goal for the Lightning this year, and they now lead 3-1.
Rick, he scored a goal like this earlier in the year where he didn't turn away. The goalie makes the first save, but a great anticipation. And watch, here's the first save. Then he picks up the rebound, finds the 5-hole. Most guys, when they take that first shot, they kind of turn away, or they go by the shot. He doesn't watch him. He stays right there with it, face to the net, and fires the rebound through the legs, and it's a 3-1 Lightning lead. Really heads up play by Boyle all the way from when he stole it to when he scored it.
Quickly, the Lightning have taken the lead with 2 goals in the span of 3 minutes and 1 second. Here's a shot by Giordano. Bishop a stop on the rebound. They score. Monahan gets one back on the power play for Calgary. It's now 3-2.
Boy, you allowed a guy to walk right into the top of the circle. I don't understand that. They gave him the puck, and they just backed right in to allow him to start of the circle. Take a look. Watch how he comes in. He just walked in. Nobody challenged him. The rebound there, all 3 people not picking up anybody to the side, and it's a 1-goal lead again. But, man, that defenseman could walk right into the top of the circles. That's prime scoring area.
Sean Monahan, the 6th pick in the 2013 entry draft. He was among those goal-scoring leaders among rookies last year with Palat and Johnson and Nathan McKinnon. They all surpassed 20 goals. He gets his 5th here at 4:22, 20 seconds after the shorthanded goal by Boyle, unassisted at 4:02. And it's 3-2 Lightning, but Chief, without Ben Bishop, it could be a different story. He has made some tremendous stops. Boma plays it in. It's tapped back toward Bishop. Wanted to cover, couldn't. Play kept alive by the Flames, but it's Gudas who controls out for Palat. Palat, I should say, becomes the 3rd Lightning player to score his first 2 goals in 1 game. Steven Stamkos did that against Buffalo. His first 2 in Buffalo back in 2008, and Mark Barberio last year. Palat's pass knocked down, comes right back to Schuster. Cedric Paquette took him a little time to get on the board when you consider the number of times he's been called up and helped out this team in a lot of other areas, but he scores 2 goals in this one, and looks like we might have one of each going here on the penalty call. Calgary for the hook, and maybe something to Tyler Johnson.
Calgary number 20's got a hook. Tampa number 9's got embellishment.
Embellishment to Johnson, a hook to Glenn Cross.
Take a look here. He's got the puck. There goes the hook. He's got the guy here. I don't know about the embellishment, but nonetheless, it looked like it was going to be a power play Lightning, but that was taken away quickly.
Monahan's power play goal. Goodrow and Giordano pick up the assist at 4:22 on that one to make it 3-2. And now it's 4-on-4 hockey. Both these teams have played well in 4-on-4s this year as Hudler out of Brody. His shot knocked down in front by Granlund. He was getting set to turn and shoot, and now it looks like we're going to get penalties to both teams here. Kimmerly hearing from Hudler on it, but it looks like we might have a same scenario with Strawman going off for the Lightning and Granlund for Calgary.
Tampa penalty number 6, 2 minutes hooking. Calgary penalty number 60, 2 minutes embellishment.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's that's something we haven't seen all year long, and I know that they were going to try and really crack down on that embellishment.
So, now it's 3-on-3. Things really get interesting here. Right now, each team 3 players on the ice. Stamkos talking with Dan O'Rourke to see if these penalties wipe out each other, and so they will be allowed to add a 4th skater. So they're coincidental minors, and we continue to go 4-on-4 here. Stamkos wins it back to Gudas. Away comes Filppula. Carl rounding out this quartet for the Lightning. Filppula with a head of steam hits that Calgary line. Met there by Giordano, who's assisted on both the Calgary goals. Goodrow playing it ahead to Monahan, 2-on-1 with Giordano steaming ahead, playing it back. Filppula getting there defensively. And Goodrow gets the puck in the hands of Monahan. He'll fire, saved by Bishop. Puck controlled by Filppula, and he'll slide it back to center ice. A minute to go on the first 4-on-4. And that will bring us to a full-strength situation. Here's a pass knocked out of the air by Callahan. Steps in, trying to drive the net. Spun around by Brody. Brody's pass caught up to by speedy little Paul Byron, who goes 5'7", about 155 pounds. Russell in there as well. Looks for Hudler. And the pass rejected by the reach of Schuster. Yuri Hudler sets it up at the point for Weidman. Over for Russell. Steps inside. Goes down. Draws a penalty with Jonathan Drouin. Reaching in there, and a trip is called. And the penalties piled up. Paquette's second goal. And Boyle and Monahan as well.
Take a look at Tampa Bay's penalty box. Tyler Johnson, Anton Strom, and Jonathan Drouin all in there in a 3-2 game. Wow, it's been eventful. A lot of penalties here in period number 2. One Bolt not in the box, but wearing a mask this evening is a defenseman in Radko Gudas. In fact, it's a hybrid protective shield, a combination of protective plexiglass to guard an injured facial bone and a grill that allows airflow, free breathing, which won't fog that shield. Gudas has worn a conventional metal cage attached to his helmet in the past. It kind of is like looking through a chain link fence for 5 games. The equipment manager, Ray Thill, fastening the hybrid design to Radko's helmet. He has enhanced vision, Rick and Chief, as well as the protection that a rugged defenseman needs.
Thanks, Paul. Making the best of a bad situation. You certainly don't want to suffer those injuries and have to deal with that, but he's going to have to wear it, he thinks, for about another week and a half, as Bishop already is saving this 4-on-3. Monahan now with penalties expiring. The shot is off the crossbar, and it comes back to Granlund, who left the box. It's now a 5-on-4 skater advantage for Calgary with a penalty to Jonathan Drouin for tripping. Here's Tyler Johnson shooting, and Hiller is stopped, and he hangs on to it.
Boy, I'll tell you, I know it's a 4-on-3, but you can't let guys get that walk-in and take those shots. Look at how close Monahan is. There he is, just clipped the post and crossbar where it joined. They've been giving the Calgary Flames so many good opportunities from great scoring areas in that zone.
Flames in their 3-game winning streak have scored 14 goals. The Lightning in their 3-game winning streak have scored 15 goals. And Chief, we've seen games in the past, certainly a different cast of characters on both sides, but a 9-6 game in this building. We saw an 8-6 game in Calgary. Who knows what we're going to see tonight? Play down the boards. Carl locking up there with Byron. Schuster's dumped. Worked free by Setaguchi. Out to Weidman. Weidman will take the drive, and it's deflected by Byron over the net. He gets to it. Schuster trying to get the puck away. And the Flames arrive in numbers behind that net to come away with the puck. Brody chased by Palat. Andre with that game-winning goal in the earlier meeting. He's got 3 goals in his career against the Flames in 3 games. Weidman. Around the horn they work it. Across to Brody. Weidman will take that shot. It's blocked by Palat. Goodrow sending it to the point, and Weidman got there in time. The pass, though, stolen by Schuster, regained by the Flames, and it's Weidman now with 12 seconds on the Drouin penalty. The shot is tipped and blocked in front by Carl. Setoguchi centers, and it's off a leg and bounced wide of an open side of the net. Drouin leaves the box, Lightning back to full strength. And so the Lightning, technically they've killed one of the 2 times short, but they've evened out the goal they gave up by scoring the Boyle short-handed.
Yeah, that was a strange situation. They only gave up 1 shot on goal in that last power play.
Here comes Monahan cutting to the middle and smartly relieved the puck by Gudas. The pass back for Nemestikov off his skates. Backtracks for it. Juris with a pass ahead. It's off Glenn Cross's stick. Bishop sliding it now to Jason Garrison. Nemestikov. Drouin wheeling it back for Paquette. Came into this game with no NHL goals. Now he's in a position to shoot for a hat-trick.
I'll tell you what, I like the way that Nemestikov hawks that puck. He gets on it very quickly.
9:45 to go in the second period. The shots 18-17 Calgary, 3-2 Lightning. 3-2 Lightning. Let's take a look at the Lightning's upcoming schedule presented by Steak and Shake.
Why, this Saturday, Columbus, who really have a rash of injuries, plus one of their best defensemen suspended on Saturday. Then, of course, into Detroit, who are really playing well. And then Chicago on Tuesday. This is a pretty good road trip, pretty good indication on how you're going to stack up. Detroit's playing very well. Chicago, of course, one of the powerhouses of the league. And Columbus really got better over the last year, but have had the injury bug hit them.
Stamkos dealing it to Garrison. Shoots off the crossbar and it deflects out of play.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been watching Hiller now, and he hasn't had a lot of action, 17 shots, but he's not tracking the puck very well. See that when he got his glove up late, and when you watch him after that, he kind of shakes his head to wonder what's going on. I know there's goalies have nervous twitches and all, but that one I think is because he couldn't find the puck.
You finally got over yours, didn't you?
Yeah. Took me forever to really calm down when the red light went on.
Here's a pass through the legs of Berchi, taken now by Brody, shooting. It's knocked down center in front. Setoguchi, a couple of whacks, stopped by Bishop. At least on that first try. Byron with it. Garrison handles it for the Lightning. Berchi checked along the boards. Swiss-born winger. In fact, they've kind of cornered the market on Swiss players, and a former Swiss coach, Bob Hartley, with Hiller from Switzerland. Diaz and Berchi as Callahan rode his man Brody to the boards in the corner, and Juris turns it around.
Boy, they set up Copley. He couldn't handle the pass.
Giordano down the boards to Josh Juris. Out in front, quick release is blocked by Strowman, and Granlund let that one go. Weidman shoots, a save by Bishop. He might have caught it off the mask. There's a shot off the post. He falls back. Bishop covers the puck. The signal is no goal, and the whistle blows as the net got shoved out of there quickly.
They have got to get a little bit stronger in their own zen. They are really sloppy right now, the Lightning. They're allowing the players to get back into play. They're not winning the battles along the wall. Wide open shots. Everybody's kind of crowding around that goal crease, not protecting the top of the circles at all. Calgary's having a field day getting those shots through and getting them on Ben Bishop. He's just been tremendous.
That's the second try by Monahan. You can see that Bishop kept it out as he closed his left arm to his body. He kept it out by the time it looked like the whistle would have blown, but I'm a little curious as that deflected shot hit him off the mask. That was a high stick. Of course, Bishop the next to touch it, so he kept going, but he's dealing with all sorts of traffic in front there. The officials getting together. I think they're going to might want to look at that.
Here's that. Watch this high stick coming right there.
That was not going to count if it went in the net, but it hit Bishop and then to the Flame player, so play kept moving.
We'll see now the Lightning have retaliated with their most physical players out there in Boyle and Morrow, trying to calm things down because they're really, Doug's just controlling the play in the offensive zone on them defensively.
Brewer has it for the Lightning. His outlet is knocked down, recovered by Weidman. Juris trying to play it up the boards. He's shoved to the ice. Brewer and Brown combining there. Weidman hands it back. He'll spin it side of the goal. And Hiller had to react to keep it away from Brendan Morrow. Monahan across off a stick. Deflects up into the crowd. Section 102 there behind the benches. The Little Caesars Family Fun Pack scores you 4 tickets, 4 pizzas, 4 ice creams, 4 sodas for all Saturday and Sunday home games. Packages start as low as $100. Buy now at TampaBayLightning.com/tickets. The young man who ended up with that puck.
Thank goodness it didn't hit him first.
Dad was there to help him out. Flames move it out to center. Carl. Back to Gudas. Jonathan Drouin fires across for Paquette. Now to Gudas from the angle, shooting and deflected by Hiller behind the net. He stops a wraparound by Nemestikov. Gudas backhands it in. England getting to it. Lightning are offside. England sending it off the stick. Then Bishop there to play. He's hurried from behind. Carl, little play to Drouin with the Flames changing. Ahead for Nemestikov. Strides in with speed. Cuts to the middle. Bodied by Russell. Brewer rushes to get to the point in time to hold it in, but Russell takes control of the puck. Lightning are changing. Kucherov in pursuit in there. The attacking zone. Puck chopped away by Garrison. Johnson's pass off the glass. Palat is able to kick it back. Tyler Johnson gets it back and shoots off the post. I don't know what the record is for most posts in a period. Kucherov shooting. That's blocked by Weidman.
Boy, they're going high, though. Right place to go on Hiller. They're just missing it, missing that top part of the net by inches. Palat.
I have to think about that for a second, Chief. Just how many posts we've seen. Kucherov, he's onside. He cuts around, he centers, and it's out of the reach of Johnson. Taken by Palat. Johnson has it. Down low for Kucherov. Giordano got it away to Brody. Johnny Goodrow hurried. Carl with both teams changing. Takes his time. Over for Schuster. Skims it to the corner.
It goes in spurges, doesn't it? I mean, every once in a while you see one team really getting on it, then all of a sudden they calm things down. Everybody gets back to that defensive mode.
Out comes Filppula with Stamkos and Callahan. And it's Callahan's pass in front, spoiled by Brody. Haven't seen a whole lot of this line tonight, Chief.
No. They've been good in the offensive zone, but they've struggled defensively.
And a penalty upcoming here as Filppula gets dumped. A hook is indicated against Calgary. And the Lightning will get their first power play chance when we come back. They lead 3-2.
Well, you see the score and time remaining here in the second period. You take a look at what the Lightning stand in the league at this point of the season and how they rank. As you see, the winning percentage are tied for third. Goals and shooting percentage are second. They're third in the power play and eighth in the penalty kill. Excellent special teams. You want those two numbers to add up to 100, and when you're over 100, you're doing an excellent job with the penalty kill and the power play.
Steven Stamkos centers this power play with Jonathan Drouin up front with Ryan Callahan. Garrison and Filppula operate at the points, and it's Filppula who will give chase. Lightning on the season a perfect or an even 25%. If you last through the season with a percentage like that, it is almost perfect. Tied for third, as we saw just a moment ago in that graphic. And the Flames on the kill, only 75%. If they've lagged in one area, it's been in the penalty kill. They're 26th. Garrison starts it up ice.
They worked on their entries as well in the power play, and they worked well, but they're being checked.
Poked along, but Callahan right there to grab it. Slips it to Stamkos. Leads the Lightning with 3 power play goals. Filppula has 6 power play assists among the league leaders. Garrison watched by Juris. Stamkos to Garrison. Fires a save by Hiller. He saw that one.
Wow. And that one, we talked about Garrison not really getting all of his shot. That one he did. Oh, wow. He got a really good chance away. Nice return feed by Stamkos, and Hiller actually grabbed it behind him. You take a look. He'll reach back behind him on the right. There you see it right back there and take it. Oof, what a great catch by the goaltender from Calgary.
Boy, if he did see it, he saw it late.
Yeah.
Callahan with a great screen in front of him. Tyler Johnson on that faceoff as the Lightning with a different unit on, but this unit does not include Anton Stralman. Carl, the center with Nemestikov in for Kucherov. Palat and Johnson round out the unit, and Carl will play it back to Bishop. Monahan keeps an eye on him. 28 seconds to go on the TJ Brodie hooking call. The pass to Palat. Getting it down to Kucherov. He throws it to the opposite boards, and Granlund fires it away. Now Palat enters that zone. Draws 2 Flames.
He's hooked.
And Granlund got the puck away from him. Flips it down the ice. That'll just about do it for the penalty. As Brodie returns. 21 shots apiece. 3-2 the Lightning lead. 3:11 to go in the second period. Gudas, rink-wide pass and the one-touch by Morrow. It's right to the Flames defense, and the Lightning now in transition with Boyle. Boyle shoots, and it's gloved by Hiller. He'll hang on to it. Catching with that right hand. Fox Sports Supports is proud to be part of the Movember Foundation's commitment to changing the face of men's health. Join us in growing and supporting mustaches to raise awareness for issues like prostate and testicular cancers and mental health by visiting moteam.com/fox-sports.
I think you have to write that one down. That'd be tough to remember.
Here's Gudas with a shot. He missed the net. It's off the glass. Got away from Hiller. Good back of the point to Gudas, wristing it, and it's tipped by Morrow just wide. Boyle got a goal. He's got 4 shots. He shoved to the boards there. And the Flames move it out. Juris with a pass. It's played back to him. Bishop steps out to get to it above the goal line. Now it's thrown back to the corner, and Boyle there. Across to Brown. Ahead for Morrow, and behind the defense. Couldn't hold it. Covered by Hiller. And the Flames object to him jabbing at that glove. And we get Boyle away from the pack with Monahan and drawing one linesman, Darren Gibbs. And now the pack follows along.
These games haven't been chippy at all, really. You know, that one in Calgary was a very closely checked game. Not a whole lot of action. And this one here, anytime you go after that goalie for that little shot, though, that'll draw a crowd. It's probably the closest thing we've had to any kind of a skirmish.
And they're not done yet. Giordano had something to say to Boyle, and he's escorted away from the Lightning bench.
There's got to be an edge to the game. You want to be successful, and that's the key. That's something that, you know, the way the game is called and played now, it's hard to develop.
Stamkos wins the faceoff. The Flames come up with it now. Hudler ahead to Goodrow. Swings wide. Fires across. Sneaking in Brody centers. It was blocked by Garrison, and he was able to recover it. Filppula turns back as the Flames hurry to get back and populate that neutral zone. Here's Filppula. Callahan. Stamkos. It's off the toe of his stick. Hudler takes it. Giordano joining the rush. Cutting in Granlund. Callahan caught up to him. Rode him off to the corner boards. Stamkos back for Garrison. Stroman not on the Lightning bench, and we've not seen him since the penalty situation. And we had that pack of 5 minors in a short period of time called. And the puck is sent back toward Hiller. Brody with it.
Let's hope it's just equipment.
And he served his penalty. And then after the first stoppage following the expiration of the penalty, returned out of the box, but that was at a stoppage at play. Here's Russell holding it in, now to Wideman. Winding, firing, a diving, dangerous block by Paquette. Setaguchi kept away from the puck by Gudas. Cedric Paquette up the boards, takes the hit, plays it ahead. Nemestikov, Drouin trying to catch up to him, and Nemestikov walks in, fires in front, looks for the pass. It was smothered by Wideman with under a minute to go.
Wow, he was probably shocked that happened.
Russell went sliding past him, and all of a sudden a big lane opened to the net. Setaguchi backhands it in. Brewer moving it out for Gudas. Kucherov with a play offside. Johnson just beat him at the line. 28.8 to go in the period.
Wow, take a look how he's coming down now. You see that, and Russell kind of spins out. Now he's able to walk in and tried to flip the pass over to Drouin, but couldn't get it up high enough. And I don't think it would have been the height that he had to get it up over that sliding body would have probably not landed on the ice in time for Drouin to get a good shot of it.
Andre Schuster pounded in there by Brandon Bollig. We haven't seen a lot of him since the early moments. Palat gave it up to Giordano. He hands it away to Schuster. 10 seconds to go in the period. And Brody controls. P.J. Brody will wait it out behind Jonas Hiller in the Calgary net. And the team skate off after 40 minutes. Brian Boyle, one of the scoring stars in this game. His shorthanded goal, the difference right now at 3-2. Stay tuned for the Gulf Coast Honda dealer's second intermission report. And Brian will join Paul outside the Lightning room. We'll introduce you to tonight's community hero, Dave Andreychuk. Paul Kennedy at the desk to run down some highlights. We'll have some stats up here. And the third period all coming your way here from Amalie Arena. Tyler Johnson's line will begin the period with Garrison and Gudas. Puck deflects in, and it's whistled down there at the line. Andre Palat, the late hero of the earlier meeting between these teams up in Calgary just over 2 weeks ago.
That was a game that really got him rolling.
They had the unfortunate play in Edmonton the night before. The next night, these teams skated in Calgary, and he comes back, gets the overtime winning goal. And you say, Chief, he hasn't looked back. Johnson hasn't looked back. And now Kucherov joining him, and here they come. Here's Palat firing, and it's by the glove of Hiller. And cross met by Kucherov along the boards. Lightning keep it down low, and it's Palat in control of the puck. Out to Matt Carl. He's working with Gudas. Here's the shot. It skins wide of Hiller. Anton Stroman. We haven't seen him since serving his penalty. Quick shot. They score! Tyler Johnson off the Kucherov pass. Hits the top corner. It's 4-2.
Boy, I'll tell you what. They are so opportunistic. They turned the puck over, and Palat forces a turnover on it, hits him in the skate. Watch Kucherov very, very quickly get it, the quick pass, and then Tyler Johnson not wasting any time. Again, top part of the net. They've been hitting the post in the second period when they went up there. This time they didn't. They get back a 2-goal lead. Tremendous effort on the part of that trio. But Kucherov's pass again, Rick, is just incredible.
He's had a 3-assist game earlier. So we know he can pass, and we certainly know he can shoot it. For Tyler Johnson, his second goal, he spent a lot of time celebrating line mates' goals that he set up with 13 assists, but he scores his second goal here. Nemestikov roaring back into the zone. Out to the point, Schuster with the shot, and it's off Hiller, and deflects to the corner. Drouin right there. Boy, the Lightning swarming here. It's tipped on goal by Paquette. He was that close to getting a hat trick. And Hiller holds play.
Well, I'll tell you, watch this. Nemestikov's getting better and better as he really gets used to the speed of this game. And watch it, Paquette just deflected that shot on Hiller. Nemestikov was in front. And Hiller had to be very quick to make that save. But boy, the pass that Kucherov fed out from behind the net, it didn't have a whole lot of room to get there, but it did. And Johnson made no mistake at the high part of the net.
Strawman is back. He's on the ice right now. Palat got the second assist on the goal by Johnson, who's had points in 10 of the 13 Lightning games this season. Callahan. Three Flames working against him. Brody chased by Stamkos, who's played 11:38 of the first two periods. Played up the board, Strawman there. Playing it down to Callahan. Couldn't center against Giordano. Gets it once again. Fires it front. Tipped on goal by Stamkos, and Hiller right there. Well, we've talked about the quality of chances that Bishop's had to face at one end. Hiller's had to face some toughies, too.
Yeah, this was with a pretty good play. They had him alone just prior to this move, and then finally get him. But watch how he kind of drags the deflection. Almost caught that pass with the heel of the stick. Watch when you see the puck comes in, see it, then he tried to drag it by Hiller, who had that left pad very solidly against the post and not allowing the hole to open.
Galloway drops the puck. Garrison opening things up for Palat. Cooper coming back with his line. This line, the Nemestikov line, have seen the bulk of the ice time up front for the Lightning tonight.
Well, they played really well. I mean, you take a look at Nemestikov is a +3 coming into this period. It just added to it.
And that line was +7 through the first two. Here's Kucherov leaving it for Johnson. This line has been a threat all night long, as they seem to be night after night. Puck left in the corner. It's flipped by Bollig. Not much on it, but England saved it. Puck deflects back for Brandon Bollig, former Blackhawk and Stanley Cup winner in Chicago. The pass ahead to Brown. He tries to skirt around the defense with a backhand try that just went wide. And boy, Palat sent him in with a terrific pass. It's played by Bollig back toward Bishop.
To show Brown's speed, he almost had Eglin turn. Eglin, excuse me.
Giordano hammers it off the boards. Brewer dispenses with it. Brown waits for the zone to clear. Brody trying to organize here against the forecheck with Morrow and Boyle keeping an eye on him. Schuster back. Here comes Boyle. They softly play it down the boards. Brody with the puck coming off the glass support unpredictably. He's able to start a rush out of it. Monahan loads up his shot, blunted by Schuster. Broke Schuster's stick. Flames keep it in the zone. Schuster without a stick, as here's Diaz firing, stopped by Bishop. Comes back to Rafael Diaz.
Well, they just really give us that shooting area, the top of the circles in the middle of the ice throughout this game. That's a dangerous place to have a guy wide open.
Brown surrendered his stick so the defenseman would have one. Give and go. Here's Diaz, and he's cut off by Brewer. Penalty upcoming to the Lightning. Delayed call as Hiller makes it to the bench for the extra skater. So the Lightning trying to get control of the puck. One of their players down a stick. Here's Brody shooting. Bishop the save, and he covers. And now we get Brewer and Brody pushing and shoving behind the net. And Greg Kimmerly has a penalty called against the Lightning at 4:12.
Looks like,
Penalty number 2, 2 minutes cross-check.
looks like Brewer getting that cross-checking minor. There it is right there in front of the net. Calgary with their third power play. They've scored a goal and they've given up a shorthanded goal.
Brewer, Tampa Bay, 2 minutes for cross-checking at 4:12.
Well, we talked at the start of the game about keys to the game. One of them was penalty killing. This is where they really need to have a tremendous kill.
Russell, good job of holding it in. Weidman fires, turned aside by Bishop. The trio of defensemen we talked about in Lightning Live pregame. Weidman with Brody and Giordano came into this period with 7 shots on goal. They're not shot.
Well, everything generates from that point position, so that's something the Lightning have got to really pay attention.
Here's Palat to steal, and getting back Russell. Once again, the Lightning right on top of that little play they make in the middle of the ice, as Brian Boyle described to Paul Kennedy at the intermission. That drop pass on the rush. Glencross. Strawman lines him up. Glencross keeps motoring. Reaching back for it. Out to Giordano. Hudler. Around for Giordano. Now to Weidman. Hudler wants it. Gets it. He's got Glencross screening Bishop. Monahan steps out to handle the puck. He's got the power play goal for them. He's got the puck right now. Hudler out in front. Blocked by Strawman. Got it away. Weidman kept it on the line. 42 seconds on the penalty. Out in front. Quick shot. A save by Bishop there on Yuri Hudler. Giordano. Glencross winds. Fakes. Doesn't have traffic. Hudler winds. He'll let it go. That's blocked. And hit 2 players. Here's Weidman shooting, and it's gloved by Bishop. Gets a whistle. 26 seconds to go on the Flames power play chance.
Boy, he got all of that too, Weidman. But 2 blocks. There was double blocks on one play. There you see that they got a really good position in getting that puck. Lost control of it. There's the first one with the blocker. Then this one here, all alone. And a good job of Strawman to block out Monahan in front, or Bowling rather, in front, so that it allowed Bishop to see that shot all the way.
Marcus Granlund wins the faceoff. Goodrow walks it in. Looks for the shot. Tripped up by Andre Schuster. Lightning get a hold of the puck. Here comes Brown. Racing ahead on Hiller. Fires, and it's deflected away as he was chased by Giordano, but you knew he was not going to catch J.T. Brown. Lightning with plenty of thrusts shorthanded in this game. Scoring on the first one of the goal by Boyle as the penalty's over. Brewer back on.
It's been amazing when you take a look at the number of shots the Lightning have had shorthanded.
Here comes Philpott on a breakaway in on Hiller. Love save, Jonas Hiller, the Swiss-born netminder who catches with that right hand. Makes the big stop there to keep his Flames within hailing distance. They're down 2 here in the third.
Let's look at tonight's high-def highlight brought to you by H.H. Gregg and its 2 breakaways, one short-handed. T.J. Brown using that great speed to come down, but just misses high. On that stick side, and then this time Philpott makes a really nice move, but just couldn't get that puck up high enough. Hiller having the glove on top of his pad makes the big save. That was an even strength, so Lightning had 2 really good opportunities to put themselves up by 3. An interesting stat, though, Rick. Calgary's had 8 shots on their power play, scored in 1. The Lightning have had 4 shots shorthanded. Would have had 5 if Brown had made, got that shot on net.
Well, Calgary hasn't been careless on the power play before. They hadn't given up a shorthanded goal before tonight. Callahan Pass was tipped right to Devin Setaguchi. Spins it to center, but right to Gudas. And here come the Lightning. And it's Stamkos coming in for the angle, shooting. Heller a save. He was behind the defense, and so was Filppula. Flames down a couple, still plenty of time, Chief.
Yeah, they're trying to do something that they're taking some chances that's uncharacteristic of this club, at least since we've played in these two games and what I've seen when playing other games.
Callahan continues bouncing off bodies as he goes down the boards. Gudas steps into that zone. He's checked by Goodrow. Russell. Pass knocked down by Paquette. Playing it back for Stamkos. As Stamkos on with Paquette and Drouin.
Well, Stamkos hasn't had a whole lot of shots on goal. This time he's coming in. They're trying to go high. Just got Hiller on the right shoulder. You see he's down and then makes the block. But everybody pretty much understands, Hiller's style of play, so they will try to go high, but he still has been able to make it very difficult for anybody to score on him. He's got a tremendous 1.95 goals against average coming into the night.
Well, he had some great years in Anaheim, but supplanted by two young goalies, Frederik Andersen and John Gibson. And as a free agent signed with Calgary. Tonight's broadcast code of the game is Tampa. Simply go to lightningfanrewards.com and enter the code in our Game Day Challenge section. Register now to start playing. I don't know how many parallels you can make for the Flames to the Lightning, Chief, but certainly they both started when you got a solid guy in goal giving you good play night after night, and even Kari Ramo has played very well. Here's a shot that's handled by Bishop, but obviously Bish was the man with the Lightning last year.
Exactly. And Ramo, they were actually alternating every single game for the first while, and then Hiller got really, really hot there and has won most of the games on the road, and they've been fortunate they haven't had a whole lot of back-to-back games. They've had days in between each start, so it's a little bit easier to handle for a goaltender.
Yeah, this 5-game trip, they don't have any back-to-backs. They're playing every other night. As the Caps on this trip, Montreal was the first game, and then they came down to the Southeast, and they'll finish up with the Panthers in Carolina before returning home for 5 games. Lewis chops the puck, couldn't get it behind Brewer, but it comes right back to him, and a penalty upcoming here against the Lightning, and another hooking call.
Boy, oh boy, I don't know.
Tampa minor penalty 11, Buck.
Think about this. 4 power plays for Calgary. Is that the hook? Yes, so.
Well, Boyle going for the penalty at 8:10. The Lightning will be missing him while killing this penalty. He's led the Lightning in shorthanded ice time, and we've seen him score the team's first shorthanded goal this year. But Tyler Johnson had 5 shorties last year, and he's on right now. They're going to drop that puck a little deeper in the zone.
Yeah.
This time as Goodrow gets it now to Setaguchi. His shot deflected. It lands for Carl. He's challenged by Monahan, who's stealing the puck. Back to Russell. Back to Sean Monahan. Here's Setaguchi firing, and Johnson stick right there to tip it up into the netting.
They kind of work their power play very similar to the Washington Capitals. They get that guy in the middle. They're out towards the high part of the circle. You know where the 2 hash marks are. They get them up to the high hash mark. And the Lightning collapse very well in this situation. But you see Brouwer there all the time in Washington with that power play. And I've watched this power play now. They try to do the same thing with that guy in the higher slot.
Well, that play with Troy Brouwer, that is just money in the bank. Here's Brody, fires, kicked away by Garrison. Hoodler has it. Brent Cross down low, gets the pass. Up to Giordano. Pass in front, blocked by J.T. Brown. He gets it loose and out of the zone. A minute remaining on the penalty to Boyle. fourth time shorthanded for the Lightning. As we told you, they've been shorthanded 5 times in 4 games coming in. Brody slams on the brakes. Out to Juris. Giordano getting organized. They let it go. Brody there. Sliding block attempted by Brewer. That shot is deflected in front. As the man in front, Glencross, well covered by Garrison. Brody has it. Hoodler chased to the line by Brewer, the defenseman. 26 on the penalty, and a little play out of that corner. They now have Giordano in front of the net. He peels off. Brody sends it across. The shot saved by Bishop. He gloves that one on the try by Hoodler.
Well, Hoodler beat him high to the stick side for the first goal for Calgary, but Ben Bishop getting out there very quickly. Watch how he gets over there and moves, and he's ready for that one on the short side. Lightning doing a good job. 18 seconds remaining. They've done a really good job of keeping Calgary off to the perimeter on this power play opportunity.
It's like the Flames are moving pieces around here, trying to break things up, but the Lightning staying strong. They win a draw. Strawman clears. 11 seconds to go on the penalty to number 11, Brian Boyle. As Russell picks his way to center. Wideman shoots it in. Bishop out in good shape. Boyle leaves the box. Lightning kill the penalty. They surrendered a goal on the first time short. They actually scored on that same penalty. Here's the try by Monahan. It's blocked by Carl. The Lightning have killed 3 straight penalties since, and they lead by a couple of goals with 9.5 minutes to go in the third period. Johnson ties up with his man. Lightning have it. Strawman to Stamkos. Callahan gives chase. Wideman with it. Played by Russell up the boards. Byron turns. And he gives it now to David Jones. Leaving it for Granlund. Walks in and shoots, and it's deflected wide. Jones with it. Former member of the Avs. His shot deflected in front by Byron. Got tangled up in Gudas's legs and finally rolled to Bishop. He'll hold play with under 9 minutes to go in the third. Lightning leading. Johnson has scored here in the third.
Tampa Bay up 4-2 over Calgary to bring you back into the third period. There's an even fresher approach to how food is made this season here at Amalie Arena. This year, they have introduced a hydroponic garden right here outside the arena, tucked in a corner, using a stacking system. Cucumbers, lettuce, spinach, herbs, and so much more are grown without soil, and instead they grow in water containing dissolved nutrients. Pretty cool. Executive chef here, his name is Rich Mathis. He says he's already incorporating some of the offerings into menu items and premium seating areas, and also feeding the Lightning players the fresh food.
Wow, Kelly, thank you very much. Here comes the Lightning on a 2-on-1. Callahan trying to feed it across. It's blocked by Giordano. He didn't see it. Tapped to Stamkos. Fired in front. Knocked right back to him. Fired off. Callahan off Hiller. And he covers it up. A wild sequence there, developing very quickly in the Calgary zone.
It happened when the defenseman kind of fell down at the blue line, and then again, how many times has that defense for Calgary stopped that cross-ice pass? They've done it about 4 times in this game. Overpass. You got to get those shots when you can. Take them in. You get a rebound. Nobody gets upset when you get a shot and a rebound.
Filppula is going to take this draw against Monahan. Lightning have done very well in the circle in the third period. Now 10-5, losing that one. And 35-21 until that face-off. Overall, Filppula, Lightning are improved in that face-off circle, Chief. They're over 51% for the season.
Yeah, that's an area where they wanted to get better, and they have.
Well, birthday wishes are on the way for a very important man around here. Tom Miracle, the Lightning Ice Operations Manager. Yeah, I think he might be just getting into his 30s now, Chief, but happy birthday, Tommy.
Yeah. A lot of pressure in that job.
It sure is.
Yeah, you got prematurely gray, Tommy.
Eric Brewer in deep. Paquette lets it go. Jonathan Drouin with an assist in this game. On the cycle, it's Domestikov in front. Keeps the feet moving. He's around that net once. He'll circle in front again. Schuster over for Brewer. Trying to sneak one through, and it dribbled to the side of the goal. Derek Englund gets a stick on it. Banks it off the glass through center. Schuster chased by Lance Boma as he was reaching for the puck. It's played back to him now. Boma with a couple of goals on this trip for the Flames. Can't make a play there. Brewer fires it out on the wing for Drouin. He's held up by Englund at the line. Lightning have changed on defense. Gudas and Garrison. 7:15 to go in the third. And the puck taken now by Kucherov, shooting a save by Hiller. Looked like they had to play up the boards, but Kucherov sneaking in there, stealing the puck. And a chance for the Lightning to get camped in that Calgary zone for a while. Tyler Johnson in behind. And it's Kucherov trying to get it to Palat, slipped away. Garrison had it poked to center. Flames going to change. Kucherov trying to tip it in. It's knocked right back to him. Kucherov gets it from Palat. Moves to the slot. Shooting. Hiller fought that off with a save. Palat kicked it wide of the goal. Russell in behind for Weidman. Lindcross hoists one. Wow, that almost hit the big Lightning vision board. In fact, it almost went as high as the top of it. Remember when the Cowboys had that big stadium? And
I was just going to say that, Rick. It was over at the Cowboy Stadium.
And they had to raise it because the punters kept hitting the bottom of the scoreboard. They almost had one hit the board there. J.T. Brown in there quickly. And with Morrow and Boyle, the turnaround just went wide as Giordano occupied Brendan Morrow. Morrow puts it in behind the net. Brody slaps it up the boards. Boyle takes it. Into Brown behind the net. Carl's position near the net. Here's Morrow shooting. It's blocked by Brody. Gets it back to Brown. Boy, Hiller to start this sequence had designs of playing the puck, but Brown came in there at about 100 miles an hour, and he said, whoops, better get back in net. Russell keeps it in for the Flames. Carl over for it. Got it free to Brown. Lightning will look to change. They've been in charge of their changes here in the third.
They've been really doing a good job. They've played a bulk of the time in Calgary's zone.
Juris loads up. The shot dribbled off Bishop as Callahan reached in there and disrupted the shot. But Bishop made the save. Now Russell's going to back it out. Filppula tried to walk away with the puck. Lightning strong on the puck here as it's played by Stamkos behind the net. Filppula there. Puck got away from him. Jones has it. Filppula got it back. Hands it down to Stamkos on the weave, on the quick stop. Brewer calls for it, gets it. Sails the shot wide. Filppula has Callahan in front. Stamkos circling up top. Stamkos fires off the post. Stick side of Hiller. Another goalpost contacted in this game. We've had 6 goals and probably more goalposts. Giordano's pass skims off the top of the glass. Gudas gets a stick on it. Garrison keeps it moving. Drouin tipping it to center. Flames look to re-enter. Boy, Gudas came looking for that hit. Almost connected with Byron. Gudas throws it to the open boards. Fast-moving third period, just the way the Lightning would like it. Since they're the team in front, they enter the third with a 3-2 lead. Boyle shorthanded goal the difference. And then Tyler Johnson has added an insurance goal. A 2-goal margin with 3.5 to play in the third. Brody to center, dumps it in. Carl playing it to Drouin. He'll chip it out.
They're much more aggressive when they have the lead rather than sitting back and playing rope-a-dope. They really take the play to the other team.
Pass in front, Strawman defends well. It's worked on goal. And now the goaltender Hiller off to the extra skater with the Flames down by 2 and 3 minutes to go. The Lightning work that puck to center. Bowman closed out on a big hit by Strawman, who's come back, missing part of the second period, but he's come back here in the third. Bowman steals the pass. Carl gets it ahead. 6 skaters on for the Flames as Hiller gone to that bench. Directed in by Hudler. Bishop keeps it moving. Bowman out of the corner, couldn't get to it. Puck stolen by Hudler to the point. Weidman fires, sliding block by Tyler Johnson. Monahan hooking it back for Weidman.
He's hurt. He's not really striding real well, but he has to stay on there.
Here's a steal. Felpina walks in, scores!
Boy, good line change for the Lightning. Calgary was trying to get one. You see the quick pass, and all Filppula did there. You see they're trying to pass that puck up to Monahan, who was trying to get a change. And we know Filppula, he's such a good stick handler that he wasn't going to panic to get that shot away in the open net. And one Calgary Flame, Chris Russell, goes floating by. He steps around him and pumps into the net. That's going to be the second unassisted goal in my mind for the Lightning tonight. Boyle shorthanded, Filppula here at 17:50.
5-2 Lightning. It's going to be a 4-0 homestand with at least 20 goals scored in the 4 straight wins. As the Lightning hit the road, Columbus Saturday night, Detroit Sunday night, actually in the evening at 6 o'clock, and Chicago next Tuesday at the United Center. Brewer plays it out to center as Hiller's back in the Calgary goal. Poked along by Brown. Filppula with his third goal, scoring at 17:50 into the empty net unassisted. Granlund trying to swing in toward Bishop. Schuster holds him off. And the Lightning have it with Boyle. They send it in on Hiller, who steers it aside. Boy, Hiller's goals against last 7 starts was he went 6-0-1. It was less than 1.6 a game, but the Lightning put 4 on him. And another one into the empty net. Bowman turns it back to his defense. Lightning outshot. The first 5 shots went to Calgary. They had all sorts of pressure to start this game. Ben Bishop typically, seems like we've seen over the last year plus, Chief, that at home he's so strong early in the game.
He really does a good job of keeping that team in the game.
Now Boma and Gudas were going at it behind the play. The Lightning settle down. They now have outshot the Flames 33-31 to this point here in the final 40 seconds. Nemestikov throws it into his own bench off the glass.
Well, let's take a look at the 3 stars tonight, brought to you by Steak and Shake. Cedric Paquette, our #1 star with 2 goals, his first of the year, +2 rating. Tyler Johnson just was a beast out there all night long, defensively as well as offensively. And I thought Nemestikov really might have had his best game, +3 going into this third period, and was out there on very important situations throughout this whole game.
25 seconds and counting as the Lightning content to keep that puck along the boards. Eric Brewer getting to it, and they'll scale it out to center, and it's cut off there. Englund will carry it in. A rugged backliner is checked there by Andre Schuster. Paul Byron takes it. Shake and bake move to try to get it out in front. He did slide it to the front of the net, and it comes all the way out, and that's where the game will end. Now the Lightning win both ends of the home and home with Calgary. They've won 4 consecutive games. Now 6 of the last 7. Cedric Paquette scoring 2 goals, his first 2 in the NHL. Bishop with 29 saves, 5-2 win. Lightning Live postgame coming up.